Oh, I said, that's good to know. And he says, because he said, thin, you know what is thin? Like, thin is the line between arrogance and boldness. It's very thin, you know. So when I would, even today, I'm telling, like, you know, I saw the spirit of fear and I said, what is wrong with you? Some of you will say he's very arrogant. And some will say, oh, he's very bold. And it's this, you know, we are believers. So some will say he's very arrogant. I don't want to have anything to do with me. And I actually have had people in Macedonia, they heard me speaking and they said, he's very arrogant. We don't want to have anything with him. And others, they love me. Oh, better say, they like me, you know. They say, oh, he's very good, you know, he's very bold and he's very courageous. No, what is the difference? Well, thin is the line between arrogance and boldness. And the Holy Spirit says, the moment you think it's boldness is arrogance. The moment you think it's arrogance is actually boldness. So it's very thin, you know, it's almost like you don't know where you are. But it's the grace of God which makes you the balance. You know, the grace shows you where you are. Because in Romans 12:4, he says, by the grace of God, brothers, I tell you not to think of yourself highly of what you are. It's the grace who teaches you not to think highly of yourself. But you need to understand that you're loved. And listen, you can claim all the promises of God with all the beautiful prayers that you have and all the faith that you have. But some of the promises, or many of the promises, will not come. Why? Because they are only coming when you know that you're loved by God. When you know that the love of God is within you, and the love of God is the, how should I say, it's the essence of your life. It's only then that you understand that, you know, you matter. You matter. Now you can perform miracles. You can perform signs. You can be Mother Teresa number 2 or number 3. Okay? But Paul says in 1 Corinthians 13, he says, what if I give my body to be burned? And what if I offer everything that I have? If I don't have love, I am like nothing. Or actually, he says I'm nothing. So it's the love of God which makes you to be strong and courageous and bold. Now there's a difference between courageousness and boldness. But I think I don't have much time to explain that. But there is a difference. Very shortly. Courageousness will take you, you will walk by faith, and you will come to here. You will come to the edge, not to the edge. You will come to the edge. And then boldness will say, whew, jump. And you're jumping, you don't know where you're jumping. That's why they said, oh, he's crazy. But he wasn't crazy, he was bold. So boldness does not always tell you what you're stepping in. Courageousness uses your mind and you know to where you have come. But then the Holy Spirit says, are you ready now? And he just pushes you and you fall into something that you don't know what it is. That's boldness. That's why Paul, if you read, do I have 2 minutes?
Yes.
If you read Paul's letters, if you just put all of them together, and I have done this in one day, I have read all the letters of Paul, and believe me, when you read them at once, to me at least, it's almost like I saw Paul. It's just like, I just saw him in front of me. Like I saw his character, I saw him as a personality. When we read one verse here and another verse there, and you mix them with everything else, you don't understand Paul. It's just you're thinking like, Paul, how can you be like this? Here you say that you are the greatest of the apostles in his first letter. But in the last letter he says, I am the smallest of all the apostles. And why is that? Because he learned to be humble. He learned, you know, in the beginning he was like, yeah, look at me, you know, I'm the apostle. And then in the last letter he says, I am the smallest of all the apostles. So you don't understand him, and you can misuse the quotations. But if you read all of it together, if you read everything what he wrote in one day, and suddenly, there is he. And you see him, and you're like, aha, now I understand. You are not all the time what it seemed like you are, but you have been developing, you have been growing in the understanding of God for the last 30 or 40 years. And now I understand why did you set that there, and why you're saying this thing now here. So you cannot divide as you want.